Got a pie ready? Let's see who's going to get it tonight.
It would be you for sure. Have one.
Could be. Could it be Britt McHenry? Daddy Nick Smith over here.
And then it was confirmed, so I guess I had a reason for...
I like Robin Wright. I'll give it a try.
You give it a try. All right, well, how about the Connors? Following Roseanne being fired from her own show, the Connors premiered last night on ABC, so let's fire it up with that. I found this to be grim because that character is her personified to some degree. And yes, it's a fictionalized version of it, but I mean, you're absolutely insane for thinking that you'd want to do something like that and to think you'd get away with it. What's the point of doing something like that unless you're going to tell people? Welcome back. Well, all that talk of marijuana, nobody was smoking during the commercial break, so don't worry about that. Bram's like, maybe later. Little do you know. All right, well, in the control room, every time I see him trending, I'm like, he said something awful.
Yeah. He gets paid millions of dollars to say stupid things.
It'd be horrible.
What's wrong with wearing the papoose? What's up with that? Like, what's so? Because I'm a man, I now have to carry my daughter with my hands and have no...
Morgan, you're still in the Navy, aren't you? I never heard about Hedy Lamarr. That blew me away. I mean, that's the equivalent of
the Manhattan Project.
Yeah, but you know what amuses me about this?
Of our human beings being killed.
But I'd rather send a responsible spin from Mika Brzezinski. Do the Democrats have actually any plans for the American people?
America is used to and shrugs off. For
example, anybody on TV can talk about looks like they don't really know.
I can.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
You can tell I have no ego.
You're the most handsome man on Fox News.
And you know, he wasn't far off on that.
And what I was saying to Greg...
Are you uptight about your looks, Morgan? No, that's the assumption.
Favorable to the Democrats. The hurricane.
I mean, I think everybody who's on television are. I saw you staring in the mirror before we were...
Yes, but you know what? How can I not stare at this?
That's not like you don't invoke the 25th Amendment because the president said something you don't like.
All right, here's the good news. The good news is that the economy is growing. The bad news is that the federal deficit is also growing. So think of it as me, but yet he's saying, if we lose, it's not my fault. You laugh.
You know, I think it's a strategic mistake at this moment in the world. Where are his morals? I say that out of one side of my mouth. At the other side of my mouth, he is saying, let's let them investigate. Do you give him credit for stepping back, even though he seems to be believing the denials? Do you give him credit for saying, let's get the facts and investigate? You know, you were talking about all the people who are pulling out of the desert in Davos, the Saudi conference coming up. Steve Mnuchin apparently has just said everyone's waiting, right? The Treasury Secretary, and they were supposed to be deciding Friday. Now it sounds like, Eric, correct me, you said tomorrow. He'll let everyone know tomorrow.
I think the Turks' motivation for a long time has been they're considered rivals of the Saudis. And they would like to see the Saudi influence diminish.
You know, all these leaks putting pressure on the Saudis to...
Well, but, you know, listen, I think there's pressure now. This
Go ahead,
this is emerging as the first crisis President Trump has had in international affairs. So far, it's been fairly quiet. You know, and he's been able to navigate that way.
Listen, women are setting records in the world of politics this year as well. As we've been reporting here at CNN, an unprecedented number of women are running for office. Remember, the midterms just 20 days away.
And it's 5:01 a.m. here in New York. It is Wednesday, October 17th. Good morning. I'm Cheryl Casoni.
And good morning. I'm Jerry Willis. I want him to buy a lottery ticket for me, that's for sure. Well, you're going to say something about a new study about renters. This is interesting.
It is very interesting. More than 3/4.
What ifs, as Wally says there. Now, finding relief after the storm, search and rescue teams are still working. You need that whole city. Think about the Steel City. Now it's healthcare, technology, and other things. But go ahead.
Hartford was on the list. I worked in Hartford.
They love you in Hartford. You're huge in Hartford.
I love Connecticut. I don't know, but Hartford's lovely. What am I saying?
With the president and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo apparently intent on giving the Saudi government the benefit of the doubt in the disappearance of that Washington Post journalist. To me, remember, he talked about those expensive apartments the Saudis like to buy. We should mention that the president has said if the Saudis knew about Khashoggi's death,